Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and here we are today with a live chat. This is the first time we've done one of these chats, and as you can see beside me on the screen is definitely one of the organ world's royalty members. Am I allowed to say that? A member of royalty, a concert organ god in the organ world, but of course not only an organist. We're talking to a gentleman here who is a world famous piano player, a world famous conductor, and dare I say it, just a general nice guy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Wayne Marshall.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you all, actually. Nice to. Thanks, Fraser, for your wonderful introduction.
Got to build you up a little bit. Got to build up a little bit. For those who just joining us, about a month ago now, I think I asked Wayne if he would be interested in joining us here for one of these online chats. And as it turned out, we've managed to catch Wayne in between concerts. Wayne, where are you at the moment?
Well, I'm in Groningen. This is the north of Holland, the northwest part of Holland. It's a very nice little town, actually, and they have a very good orchestra here. In fact, this is my second appearance with this orchestra, and we have a program. This time we're playing music of George Gershwin, Kurt Weill, and Bernstein, and Artie Shaw. So it's a nice little concert. No interval, but just.
Oh wow! Okay. Yeah. Straight through. Okay. Wow. So is this an orchestra festival, or is this just sort of a concert going on at the moment?
No, it's one of two, actually. It's one of two concerts because the general director of this orchestra is leaving, and she's actually just moving literally next door to be head of the music conservatoire.
Okay.
Like out of one door into the next one. So last night we had it's like a kind of party feeling, that kind of thing.
Nice.
And tonight it will be broadcast live on television, local television here. So that's it. So it's nice to have this little part today. And the weather certainly from 10 o'clock this morning has certainly improved in the way that I like it. With the sunshine, because this week has been rather dreary, I'd say.
I wish you told me that before, because then I would have climbed into the car and driven the 3.5 hours to Groningen from here, and then we could have done this live. It's pretty miserable here today, actually, in this part of Germany. So, good for you. Now, you're conducting the concert, but I think you're also soloist. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm conductor and soloist. I play and conduct Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. So this is also part of the concerto. It's one of two concertos. I said the other concerto in this performance is the clarinet concerto by Artie Shaw.
Oh, wonderful!
Played by the principal clarinetist here. So, yeah, it's nice to have this. It's always nice to be soloist and conductor with Rhapsody Blue. It's a piece which I've done very, very many times before.
Oh, lucky you!
And every time is always different. It's always a different experience.
Exactly. Okay. So are you? Is this sort of? I mean, you don't just have the classical background. You have a jazzy background as well, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm mainly a classical musician, but I mean, I've always had this fascination for jazz. And for me as a conductor, the most important thing to get across to the musicians is not just about reading the notes when it comes to playing this kind of music, but how the music feels. And this is what I'm really rehearsing all the time.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah.
It's it's very, very it's hard work, but it's rewarding when at the end of the rehearsal period and the concerts, and then they begin to get into it, and it's nice when they,
Brilliant. I remember talking to a couple of conductors a couple of years ago. They were talking about sort of different orchestras in different parts of the world, and having to work in different ways with them. You've worked with orchestras all over the world yourself. Do you think can you agree with that? Is there a certain way you have to work with certain orchestras based in certain places? Maybe you spend more time going over the physicality or the actual notes, the technicalities of it, or like you say here, it's more about the style involved. Do you have experiences of that?
Yeah, I mean every orchestra is different. Like every organ, every pipe organ is different. Every orchestra is different. I mean, they're made up of individuals, of musicians, different characters, and different abilities. I mean, this is the thing. I've been very fortunate to have conducted all sorts of orchestras, and I find it fascinating because there's always something to learn, and I think it's very important that when you go to a different orchestra, that it's like, in a way, it's just a little bit like sort of starting at the beginning. You have to sort of work your way up and I love the whole rehearsal process very much. This is a thing that I really enjoy, and it's nice to have a week. You know, we start on the Monday morning, and Thursday evening is the first concert, or Friday evening is the first concert, and there's that great sort of feeling of progression. And it doesn't matter what the repertoire. I just like the idea of rehearsing and really getting into the music and you know, working with the orchestra, because this is so important. You know, yeah.
And do you think it's obviously you need that amount of time, first of all, to get to know the orchestra, but they of course in turn get to know you and your personality.
Well, yeah, of course, but it's not just about that. It's about getting to know the music, you know, and really getting inside the music. You know, I mean, I know that, you know, I mean, we're both from the UK, and I mean the thing that is a little bit, it's great that, I mean, the British orchestras, of course, have this wonderful thing of, you know, being able to have a rehearsal in the afternoon and then doing the concert in the evening. You know, for me, this is not really, it's not my style. You know, I like to rehearse. You know, so because then I really feel that we're really achieving something. I mean, it doesn't matter how well you can read something. You know, we can all go and do that. But the most important thing is really getting to understand and to get inside the music. And you need more than 3 hours just to do that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So it's getting that connection that's
well, yes, it's all about, you know, it's got to become an event, and a concert has got to be an event at the end of it. And you know, once you rehearse and you have to just become something that you remember, not just something that you think, oh right, okay, next. It's got to be an event, and that's what I really work for. Yeah,
brilliant. That's absolutely well. And let's go back to the organ world for a minute, because this is where most people watching this channel are going to know you, of course, as an organist more than anything else. So, is that also the same for an organ concert?
Of course. I mean, as I said, you know, every organ is different, and the nice thing about, you know, being an organist, of course, is that, I mean, one never really knows what one is going to expect or to find, you know, with the instrument, no matter how large or small the instrument is.
Yeah. Exactly.
And, you know, the whole point about preparing an organ concert is to go and practice and to, you know, to get to know the instrument, find out what works, what doesn't, you know, how the action responds, how the different registers sound and how they sound together, what to use, what not to use. All these things, you know, I mean, it's all part of the thrill of getting to the end of a process of rehearsing and then giving the concert. And it is nice to have the time. That's the thing. You know, I mean, we organists, we always have to battle with schedules in cathedrals, particularly in cathedrals, because, you know, that during the day there's always a lot of tourists and lots of things going on, services, you name it. But nothing is better than when an organist can actually get in, you know, after all the services are finished, and we just get in the evening, and we can then stay all night if necessary. I mean, I've done that we've both done it many times. And there's something really satisfying about, you know, being in a cathedral or a big church on your own, you know, overnight as a practice, and no one coming to pester you, and you can just really enjoy it, and, you know, all these different things. It makes it special.
It is. It's a lovely feeling, isn't it? I remember many years ago myself being locked in Liverpool Anglican Cathedral at night. Ian Tracy just sort of gave me the keys and said, you know, help yourselves, put the keys in the keyboard in the letterbox when you're finished, and just enjoy it. And I think I was in there till 3 or 4 in the morning, just all by myself. It's
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I've not had that experience in Liverpool now, is they? But great.
Absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So yeah, now going back to the organ, now, what got you started in the organ world?
Well, simply, I mean, my parents, when they emigrated to the UK, they, of course, were, you know, they are, you know, they've always been strong church-going people. So they moved to Oldham in Lancashire, that's where I was born, and next to our house, of course, was the parish church of All Saints. And so from the very early age, I can always remember every Sunday was taken up by, you know, going to the morning service and the evening service, or Sunday school in the afternoon. So it became part of our, you know, upbringing. So that was it. It was a very firm part of our schedule. And, you know, of course, I was always fascinated by this instrument up on the right hand side. You know, I was always dying to get my hands on it.
Okay.
And so when I was about 8, I think, I used to go to the local school, and this school used to have a carol service every year in the church.
Okay.
And as I used to be I used to help out with the playing in the school, the music teacher said to me during the rehearsal, "Oh, Wayne, please go and play a G major chord on the organ."
Oh.
I mean, for me, I mean, I've been going every Sunday to church, and here is my opportunity, to go and finally go and play it. And as I said, when I got and sat down at the organ, then the rest is history, so to speak. Couldn't get me away from this thing. So
okay,
that's how it all started. I can still picture that Wednesday morning as if it was yesterday. Yeah,
wow, wow.
Yeah.
So then your parents got you involved with organ lessons. How did that all start?
Well, I mean, I sort of, it was a kind of self-taught situation for a year or two. Then I went to Church School of Music in Manchester, and then had formal lessons. Then, but let's not forget. I mean, before then, of course, I've been playing the piano all these years.
Okay.
And had formal lessons, and so the organ lessons then came as a extension, really, of my piano lessons.
Okay. And was there anything at the beginning that sort of, I mean, we've got that, I just put out a video not that long ago, people were asking me the same kind of questions, and when I started out in the organ, I actually started out more with the first pipe organ I ever played was the theatre organ. And then at some point, my folks said to me, maybe it's time you got some proper organ lessons so you could learn some proper technique. And that's what then got me involved in the church organ. Was there any kind of music that had attracted you to the organ, or was it just this, you'd grown up with this instrument around you every weekend and you thought, I want to get involved in this? Or was there a certain piece of music maybe, or something along those lines that really hooked you?
Well, I mean, don't forget that, I've been listening to church music all the time. I mean, I remember my father had some records of this a great organist, and because I got older and got to know, of course, it was the American virtuoso Virgil Fox.
Ah, yes.
And I mean, I it didn't mean anything to me at that time, but obviously as I became older, then of course it was, so I've been hearing these records of my father play, and then also, of course, being in the church, hearing the organ, and just always fascinated by this sound of this instrument.
Yeah.
But just wanted to get my hands on it to play it. It just that moment in that rehearsal. Then that was it. Then the seed was sown, so I just engrossed it basically.
Yeah. Did it come naturally to you moving from piano to organ?
In a way, yeah, because I mean, certainly with the pedal board, I sort of saw straight away that the pedal board was just a giant keyboard, played by the feet. Of course, like anything, you have to practice, and it's not that easy. I mean, when I first started to have formal lessons, my teacher, Derek Cantrell, he was the then organist in Manchester Cathedral. And he then, the first piece he gave me to learn was the second movement of the first trio sonata of Johann Sebastian Bach.
Oh my God!
And I mean, I can still remember how much I struggled with that. But one had to get this sorted out. The left hand and pedals, independence of hands and feet. And once you crack that, then everything then opened up in a way that just led the way. But that's the thing that really had to happen.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't even tackle a trio sonata. Certainly not in public. Not even now. Years later, to put that in front of you, that would have put everybody else off, I assume.
Yeah, but it had to be done because it had to sort out this independence of hands and feet.
That's right.
So then, after that, then it was, the journey then progressed a little bit easier, so to speak.
Wow. Thank you, by the way, for mentioning the independence of left hand and pedal. This is something I preach to my organ students all the time. It's never mind the right hand, the pedal. Even if you're left or right-handed, it makes no difference. There's something technical inside the brain about the left hand and the pedals together.
Unlocked. That has that circuit has to be either soldered together or it has to be unlocked to make everything else.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for mentioning that. That makes life a lot easier. Okay, so then this progressed, and was organ always your main instrument after that, or was it always organ and piano?
Well, yeah. I mean, piano. I mean, basically, I've always been a pianist, and so I could not play the organ the way I do if I was not a pianist.
Sure.
So for me, piano has always been very, very important, and still is. But I think it's fair to say that most keyboard concerts that I do now are all, mainly organ. Yes.
Okay.
I don't have a vast piano repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
I never
Okay.
really wanted to be a concert pianist in that sense.
Okay.
But I just always wanted to be an organist, and I wanted to have that kind of piano technique
Sure.
to use it as to use as an organist.
Sure.
Which I think is very, very important. We can look at great players like Virgil Fox, who at school, became my hero, and I wanted to, to not to emulate his style, but I was so fascinated by the virtuosity of his playing and the way that he used the organ, and this orchestral way of playing, and very virtuosic, and that really inspired me, really. And that was a great sort of well, it was just a very great influence, for my
I can imagine. Did you ever meet Virgil Fox? You're not old enough?
No, well, he was somehow, well, Virgil, when did Virgil die? He died, was it 73 or something like that? 70.
Ooh, was it that early, really?
77, I forget now. In the either mid or late 70s. I was at school when he was, I think he was still alive, but yeah, I'm sure. But I never met him, no, sadly.
No, okay. But I'm guessing over the years you definitely met one of his prodigies, Mr. Carlo Curley. You must have come across Carlo.
Many times. But I first met Carlo in Manchester. At a Free Trade Hall, the concert at the then Free Trade Hall.
Oh, that was the wonderful old Wurlitzer in the Free Trade Hall, wasn't it? Or was he playing an Allen at the time?
No, he played his Allen touring organ. I mean, the first time I ever seen this instrument, and my God, I mean, it was stunning. I mean, the final piece in the program was Vega's How Brightly Shines, the morning song. I don't know, I can't remember the German, but you would be much better at it.
Wie schön leuchtet der Morgenstern.
Morgenstern, yeah.
There you are.
Yeah, that's yeah. And I always remember, he played the whole concert from memory, and my God, he made this Rega seem like a piece of cake. It was just the registrations, the way he played it. It was just
I remember Carlo. I met him on many occasions, and he's a sorely missed character in the organ world. Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, very much so.
Definitely. But the thing that always got me about Carlo was he was in those days, he was in every direction enormous. But his hands, now I've got Donald Trump hands. I've got relatively small hands, unfortunately. But the thing I remember about Carlo, where he could easily stretch a 12 in each hand,
that's it,
and that I was so jealous of his hands. I don't know if that made
player. I mean, what a player! I mean, he was amazing. It was really phenomenal, and nice, great guy, and the way that I mean, I know that a lot of organists always, despise what he did, but he was a great musician, and he just made whatever instrument he played just sound like some amazing. It was phenomenal.
He could get anything out of any organ. It was quite amazing. That's exactly right. And of course, you said that a lot of people. When we say a lot of people, I think we mean a lot of the dusty organ world. I think we can say that a lot of the dusty organ world despised what he did, but at the same time, they probably also despised what Virgil Fox did, and nowadays maybe even what Cameron Carpenter is doing. That kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, look, listen. These are all great musicians, and I have a lot of respect for these guys, and they're all fantastic players. And I mean, they can all say what they want, really, but they're all great players and great musicians.
Exactly.
And, there's a lot to be said for.
Definitely, and all of them are doing their thing to open up the organ world beyond this sort of little bubble of. I've got to be careful what I say here, but
it's not.
You know what I mean, don't you?
They're excellent musicians, and what the instruments they play are all musical instruments in their own right, and so but the most important thing is that they are excellent musicians and brilliant keyboard players, and they all express themselves in the way they do, and it is of course enlightening, to what they do. I mean, I'm all in favor, and as I said, look, the organ is a musical instrument. It's an orchestra. It's an orchestra of sound, and every organ is different, and you have to look at every instrument as like it's a new toy, and make it sound great. That's always been my motto. Whatever instrument you play, if it's a worse instrument, you're still going to make it sound damn good.
Yes,
And that's it.
Definitely. Well done. Well said, that man. That's very important. And
That's what it's all about, you know.
exactly. And at the same time, going back to a little sentence I said, they're opening up the organ world to, you know, to everybody out there, not just for the organ freaks, the organ nerds out there. You know, the organ it's a musical instrument for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an international instrument, just like any instrument, really. I mean,
Exactly.
every instrument is an international instrument.
Yeah.
And the organ is no different. It's just that, you know, it's always had this kind of, you know, cloak around it that, you know, there's only certain...
That's a nice
anyway,
the
fact is that now we have more organs in concert halls, and you know, or the instrument is much more accessible than it used to be. And you know, I think that this, you know, it's a very diverse instrument, and people have to just open up and
people opening up. That links very nicely to sort of the modern times. YouTube. You have a YouTube channel, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You do. Does everybody know about your YouTube channel?
Well, you know, look, I mean, this whole thing, you know, is essentially where we're going now, because of course, because of the pandemic. I mean, we've all been in the same situation, and I have to thank my dear wife for introducing me really to social media, because up until 2 years ago, I had no idea. And on the 19th of February, I think it was. I think I was either in, I was just in the States. I came back from Moscow, or March it was, I think March. And that's when everything sort of, you know, went haywire, because then everything stopped. Yeah. And so then I had to reinvent myself in a way. And, you know, my wife was very helpful. She, you know, suggested that I started, you know, doing a Facebook live concert. Facebook. Okay. I haven't really done, what's that, you know? And so, you know, I've always been interested in recording, and so we found this software OBS on the you know, on the internet, and figured out how to use it with Facebook, and it all started in a very sort of humble way like that. And then I started putting more, started doing these weekly concerts, and then, you know, my wife then started to compile this YouTube channel for me. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as I said, it has been a slow process, because of course, you know, everybody has been in the same boat over the last year and a half or so. Yeah. So we've all had to sort of resort to doing different things, and you know, social media has actually been a great blessing, because I've actually reached out to a very large audience, a larger audience, I should say, than I would normally if I was playing in a concert hall or cathedral. Yeah. And so, you know, it's been fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I come back to your first question. I hope that people know that I have a YouTube. I'm not the world's best person at sort of keeping these things you know, active, or you know, because I'm quite busy, but at the same time I'm also very, very interested in the whole technology of recording and putting things up on YouTube. But you know, like this, I mean like yourself, I mean, you know, you do a weekly podcast, which is amazing. I mean, I wish I had the time now to do that. I mean, I don't really have the time to do it now, but when I do, you know, I put 101% of love into it and try and make it sound and look as good as it can, you know. And I think it's
absolutely perfect.
As you make it look really amazing. You have great equipment there, and you know, it looks fantastic. So I'm just so happy that we got in touch with each other, and we've discovered this. It's fantastic.
It's again, I think we have to say thank you to our respective wives at this point. Without Vanessa at my side, none of this would have sort of taken off the way it has. And like you, I was very grateful that this opportunity did, or that this opportunity was already there during the pandemic, because, well, like every professional musician around the world knows, it was a terrible time. Nothing was happening at all, absolutely nothing. And I, as a church musician, we had for a few months, there were no church services, no choir rehearsals, nothing, absolutely nothing.
Could you go in the church and practice?
For a while, yes, but then there was, for a little while in Germany, a curfew. So night you had to be home and indoors by 2100 hours every evening. And you know, so it really did sort of screw everything up for quite a long time, but thankfully it's all pretty much back to normal now.
Yeah.
I suppose for you, it's almost completely back to normal now. You can actually have live concerts with live audiences again, yeah?
Yeah, it took a while. I mean, the first few months of this pandemic was difficult, and then I started to travel a little bit. I mean, a lot of restrictions, of course. This idea of wearing masks, to rehearse and do concerts. It's never been my thing. Or I'm sure a lot of people would agree with it the same way. But at least it allowed us to do some kind of performance. So it's better than nothing. Better than nothing. But
that's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you think people, the audiences in this case, do you think people sort of missed that? Do you think that was very important for people's lives, and they sort of, not being able to go to live concerts, or even not even being able to go to church for a while, just not getting out there and sort of feeling or hearing live music? Do you think that affected people negatively?
Of course. I mean, everything stopped. I mean, we can't imagine a world of silence, can we, without music? I mean, imagine no music. And it was hard. I mean, you said that you had this, in Germany, there was a curfew. I mean, we didn't really have that situation in Malta where I live, but at least the chancellor of the cathedral in Valletta was very kind to me and said that, well, look, you can just go and practice, and no problem. I moved all my recording equipment into the cathedral, and was just, it was like a studio, because the church was completely closed.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, there was no curfew in Malta as such, not like in Germany. I mean, that I would have found very, very difficult.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely terrible. I mean, it was bad enough here, but on a couple of occasions we live out in the sticks anyway, so on a couple of occasions we did ignore that and sort of headed off into the church to do some recordings. That was essential work, so we wouldn't have been allowed
out. Cloak of darkness, yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Very much very much so.
Imagine that situation, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out now.
Let's go now, quick.
Let's get out now.
Is that take the dog for a walk to the church? That's
take the dog for a walk.
That's odd. So hold on a minute. You now live on Malta. That sounds like the most romantic and sort of exciting adventure ever. Malta's, for those who don't know, people around the world who might not know what Malta looks like, it's basically the Game on Thrones, isn't it? Game of Thrones is Malta, isn't it?
Well, you're talking to someone who doesn't really know anything about Game of Thrones. I never really watched it, so I don't know. But I think a lot of it was filmed there.
Yeah.
No, I live in Malta. My wife is Maltese, and so we moved back there in 2006. I think it was 2006. Oh, wow. So I mean, we bought a house, and we've been living in Valletta ever since. And I mean, it's great place to live. I mean, at least it's well connected with particularly with Europe. Flights fly every day to virtually every city you can think of. So it's a very strategically well placed place to live. A bit overcrowded.
Okay.
A lot of construction going on, but the weather's amazing. That's the most important. One of the things that I really like is the weather. I mean, every day you wake up and the sun shines mostly. And in the summer we have this phenomenon. I don't know how it is, but I'm always fascinated by this. That usually between the months of the end of May till about sort of end of August, there's no rain. But yet in like now, September, October, November, we get these big storms that bubble up. Now I always think that the summer, that when when it's like sometimes it's 35, 40 degrees, there's never any thunderstorms in those kind of situations, which always fascinates me really.
Wow.
But anyway, it's a fascinating place, and it's quite safe, and it's great for the children, because the one thing is that the beach is never far away. It's never too far away, so it's very easy.
I'm going to have to stop you there, because I'm getting very, very jealous. We haven't had a holiday for 2 years now. We haven't been anywhere for 2 years.
I'm getting carried away, so I shall.
Stop now. So you basically live on a holiday island. I think I'm going to have to invite myself to visit you at some point.
Very welcome, anytime.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, it sounds amazing. It sounds so. The lad from Oldham is now sort of living the Mediterranean life on Malta. That sounds pretty cool.
Life of Oldham. Well, it's just a place that, I mean, the thing is that when I went to Malta with Jennifer, I mean, I said, oh yeah, I thought we got to come and live here, because I'd grown very tired of living in London, I have to say, and it was really getting to me, and it just seemed the perfect place to be, So we, it was just wonderful just to go and visit and just never look back, really.
Brilliant. Any plans to go back to the UK?
Well, I mean, things, we have 2 young children, and, their next stage of education has to be thought of very carefully. So,
okay,
we are considering it because, I mean, as wonderful as Malta is, the education system is not quite as how do you say, it's good, but, you need, I mean, musically in Malta, things are a little bit, not as one would expect them to be. Okay. Not really. So
so there aren't as many chances for them if you sort of stayed on Malta for a long time. Okay.
So people do need to leave to experience the real music world, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Which is a shame because there's a lot of things in Malta which are lacking. And one thing that is lacking is a proper cultural centre where people can visit, and where the orchestra could have their own home, and all these things. It's just not really there in Malta.
Moving on. Back to the organ world. People are going to be interested in the organs. Now? Do you have a sort of permanent connection to Valletta Cathedral now? Is that your instrument?
I mean, I live in a very strategic position because I mean the cathedral is literally around the corner from where we live. So, and I mean, I've known the Chancellor there, Simon Godfrey, for many years, and in fact, he even married us. We got married at the cathedral.
Wonderful.
So I've always had a connection with the cathedral. It's an Anglican cathedral, of course, under the Diocese of Gibraltar. So it's a different. But anyway, as I said, it's a wonderful cathedral, wonderful building, and the organ is a Rushworth and Draper originally, and I think that the case actually was from Chester Cathedral many years ago.
Okay.
But anyway, it was moved to Valletta, to St Paul's, and in 2013 the organ was rebuilt and restored by Kenneth Jones, and so it's a lot better now than what it was.
Yeah, I can imagine.
A new console built, which is downstairs in the choir, facing the organ. And I mean, it's considerably better than what was there before, as I said. So we're very lucky to have an instrument of that caliber on the island. But I mean, as I said, there are a lot of instruments in Malta. There are quite a lot of churches in Malta. Not all of them have great organs.
Okay.
But there are a few I could probably count on both of my hands, which are good instruments that are worthy. And we're very fortunate because we have a very good organ builder there.
Wow.
A very good friend of mine, and Robert Bahaja is a great guy, and I have a lot of respect for him because he really I feel that the island is very lucky to have him because he's done some great work. I'm not ashamed to say it, but he's really done some great work with instruments in Malta. Making them, restoring them, and he's amazing.
Keeping the scene very much alive.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
Have you in the past had sort of permanent connections to any church posts?
Well, when I was younger, I mean, of course, I was organ scholar at Manchester Cathedral. That was when I was at school, and then after that, I went to the Royal College of Music, and then I was organ scholar 3 years at St George's Chapel, Windsor Castle. That was from 1980 to 83. And then, I mean, I was organist at St Gabriel's Church in London for a few years, but I've not really had that kind of, permanence of one church. It's always been, I was very much a freelance musician.
So you're always more the concert organist then?
In a way, yes. I mean, I've always been. I've had the full Anglican upbringing in terms of all the I know all the repertoire and I played a lot of it, but I love I think that's been a very important staple in my diet because of musical diet, I should say, having been a chorister and been through all of that,
Okay.
I think it's very, very important. And it's served me well. I mean, certainly, I love to play for the mass. I love it, and I think organists really have to be good liturgical organists as well.
Definitely. Definitely.
This is part of the the Anglican tradition is very good. I mean, even the French and the German tradition is it's something which every organist needs to have, that solid foundation and roots in liturgical playing.
Definitely.
It's really very important.
Definitely.